Hello, and welcome to this evening's program, 2020, The Year in Music, brought to you by the Eugene Public Library and the House of Records. My name is Martha Sutherland, and I work in the Adult Services Department at the library. Thank you for tuning in. At the library, we love to talk about books and movies and music. Some of you who are viewing tonight may recall that in the days pre-COVID, the library hosted monthly record listening programs. At these events, folks from the community came to the library to listen to classic albums on vinyl from start to finish and then talk about them. The conversations were always fun, inspiring, and a great way to hear different voices and opinions about music. Most of these programs were hosted by Greg Sutherland from the House of Records. Tonight, we welcome Greg once again and the whole crew minus one from the House of Records to talk about some of their favorite music releases from last year. I don't know about you, but I love to get new music recommendations. I'm always curious what people listen to and why, what gets them excited, what helps them escape, and what keeps them calm and focused. For me, 2020 was many things: tumultuous, frightening, sobering, and above all, life-changing. Music gave me solace through the hardest of days and also gave me fuel for new projects and adjusting to a new way of life. I reconnected with albums that will always be dear to me, and I feverishly explored new releases. Frankly, I'm impressed and thankful that musicians and the music industry would not be stopped by a global pandemic. Let's see. In the chat, you will see a link to the 2020 music guide that accompanies this program. And I'm going to share my screen briefly with you. Let's see. There we go. Share. Okay, this is a library guide that I created to accompany this program. And the gallery of albums that you can scroll through doesn't come close to the actual number of new releases that came out last year. But there is a lot here, and this assortment reflects the favorites of House of Records staff and Eugene Public Library staff. You'll see under each band name where you can listen to the music. Let's see, Bandcamp is there, Freegal, which you can access with your library card. Let's see, there's a YouTube link and Hoopla as well. So that is the first part of that guide. And right here, if you click on music at the Eugene Public Library, there's just more information there on how you can get access to music that we will be featuring on tonight's program. And also you can just browse our CD collection by clicking that link. You can make purchase suggestions, or you can read about the musical engagement space at the library. All right, so let me stop sharing my screen. Oops. Sorry. Okay, so let's drop the needle and start talking about music. Since Greg is sitting here right by my side, we will start with him. Greg, thank you so much for being here tonight.
I don't mind being here in my own house one bit. Hi, everybody. This is the first time I've ever been on a Zoom meeting.
It's not Zoom, it's StreamYard.
Oh, it's StreamYard. Okay, well then I guess I'm wrong. This is the first time I've been on StreamYard, so if I'm a little awkward, I'm sorry, but I'm not experienced in talking to a camera that's looking at myself straight in the face. So let's get on with this. I guess we're going to do 2 records at a time, and then I'll pass it over to either Ani or Matt or Tyler, who are also here somewhere. And so one of the things I do is I recommend music to people. People come in the House of Records all the time, and they ask me, hey, do you have anything you've been listening to that you like? And I'm always tongue-tied. I don't know what to say. So lately, in the past couple of years, I've been writing down my personal favorites as the year goes by, so that when people do ask me, I have a little list. And that's what I did this year. And the first album on the list, released in January, was this Mr. Elevator record. Mr. Elevator is a band quote unquote. It's really one guy from the OCs, and I think he has some people playing with him. And it's nothing like the OCs if you know about them. They're sort of a garage rock / punk band, although they do lots of wild prog stuff too. They're very interesting. Anyway, this Mr. Elevator, Goodbye Blue Sky I was looking for records in 2020 that could just make me feel good. And whenever I would put this record on, I would just be transported. It's like being in a warm womb. It's, really gentle. It's almost like easy listening music from the 60s. There's a band called Tipsy that also made some records like this. And there are vocals on it, but it's mainly instrumental to my mind. And I just really love this record, and I would recommend it to anybody. It's probably my favorite record from 2017. Came out in January. And
2017?
I'm sorry, 2020. I don't know where I am. But anyway, so that's my number one favorite. And now I'm going to move to my second favorite, which I'm sorry, I just have this little tiny CD, so I'll show that to you. And this is a guy named Lowell Brahms and Sufjan Stevens, which a lot of people know. He's sort of an indie pop megastar and singer-songwriter and just a great producer. And Lowell Brahms is his stepdad. And the two of them collaborated on this little record. It's 45 minutes long. And it's mainly instrumental, and I'd say close to new age. Some of it's like sound sculpture. I used it a lot in 2020 when I did my yoga exercises. It really was great to meditate to and just think to. A lot of these records that I'm going to talk about tonight are records I listened to at work, and just were great records to work to and think to. And that's part of the reason why I like them as well. And this record, this Aporia, I guess is the way to pronounce it, is also kind of like Mr. Elevator. It just leads you through this portal into an entirely different world. It's really easy to get absorbed in it. It's great wallpaper if you just want to have something on and to relax to or think to. And it's great music to listen to carefully if you want to. So those are probably my top two records, the ones I listened to the most in 2020. And now I'm going to hand it off to someone else for a while.
All right. Thank you, Greg. So folks out there, I think what we're going to do, because we will have 4, or actually 1, 2, 3 guests from the House of Records, is we're going to take turns and just go 2 albums at a time. And next up, we have Ani from the House of Records, and I am going to mute myself and unmute her. So bear with me just a moment.
Yeah, so my internet connection is not great. So if I freeze, I hope I'm making a really terrific face. Yeah, so 2020 was really wild, and music is always really important for me to help feel like I'm somewhere else outside of that for a moment. There were a lot of times when I found something that was able to transport me for a moment, and I really appreciate that, even though I couldn't escape as much as I would have liked to. But my top 2 favorite albums released this year in 2020. First was King Cruel, Man Alive. And I actually, let's see, so I have the album cover, which looks a little something like that. Really like, I really just love their sound. The first song that I stumbled on was a song called Alone, Omen 3. And I'm immediately hearing this song, I connected with it. It just felt, it felt like a feeling that I just really couldn't describe. Immediately, it just resonated with me, and I had to figure out who it was. The song was on the radio, so I had to go and soundhound and figure out who it was. And then I listened to that song probably 4 times in a row after that, immediately. And then I just kept coming back to that song every day for a while. And then listening to the whole album, just really solid album. It's a little haunting, which was how I was feeling during a lot of parts of this year, kind of haunted by lots of different sorts of things. So that really felt like something to connect to kind of pull me away from that. Second album is The Chats, High Risk Behavior, which I do have that actually on vinyl here. The Chats are just raunchy punk. It was so good to receive this album and be able to have something that could make you thrash about. And I remember putting this on, my partner bought this for me and brought it home, put it on the turntable, and just remember just thrashing about our living room. And that felt incredible to be able to like release so much of what we were feeling at the time. And just a lot of really great songs on this album. Identity Theft, The Kids Need Guns, Dine and Dash. It's just raunchy punk, and it's good if you need something to throw your body to. So that's all I have in the moment. I'll send it back to you, Martha.
Okay, hey everyone, well, I guess I can't find out if you can hear me, but I'm here. Favorite albums of 2020? So Martha, I can't hear you. Maybe you're muted?
I am totally muted, but now I'm not. So here we go. I'm going to zero in on you, and you may proceed as you're ready. Thanks a lot for joining us.
Yeah, great. Yeah, thanks for having the event. First one I'll start with is a local band. It's a group called Gazelles. True Meridian's the name of the album. It's their second studio album. Came out, I think, in June. The artwork is by the bassist, Neil, who's a professional gig poster maker. It's instrumental post-rock. I like instrumental music because most of the time I don't catch the lyrics until way later on. My ear just doesn't hear that first. So it's guitar, drums, bass, and electric violin, which ends up harmonizing really, really beautifully. It's progressive in the sense that they love really complicated time signature changes and chords, but they're not. Nobody's showy enough that it's not about one person. It's a blend of sound. Interestingly enough, they recorded this up in Portland, and through a weird twist of fate, Chris Novoselic, the bassist from Nirvana, ended up playing acoustic guitar and accordion on this album. And I think one of the crowning achievements for my friend who's in the band was that when they showed them the chord charts that they had for the song that they were going to record, Chris had never seen that. So I think it speaks to the professionalism of the band. And put out a great record in June. We carry that here. And next one, I have a small stack, and I'd just like to kind of say things briefly about them. But Georgi Mikadze, Georgian microjams. So he's a jazz artist from the country of Georgia, one of the former Soviet republics, but obviously so much more than that. Georgia is a country that has survived so many different occupations. They have their own alphabet, their own language. It's one of the 14 original alphabets. And he left Georgia to come study music in America and had no designs of incorporating traditional Georgian music into his music. But while he was studying at, I don't know, Juilliard or some, Berkeley, one of the conservatories, I think his fellow students and his teachers urged him to listen to, consider his own musical tradition and bringing that in. So what you have, he's a keyboardist. You've got fretless guitar, fretless bass. So again, that microtonal, like in between notes on the Western scale, you get this, and drums, you get this like really freeform jazz that's happening. And in a lot of the songs, they have traditional Georgian singing, which I also recommend checking out because it's just this beautiful polyphonic choral music that has existed in the Caucasus for centuries and hasn't made it too far out of it, but it really is a gem. So I missed the beginning. I don't know if the format is just 2 at a time, but if it is, then I'm ready to give it over. Tyler's here if you want him to go next.
Oh, terrific. That would be wonderful.
Okay.
Thank you, Matt.
Okay.
And
hello.
welcome, Tyler.
Hi, Ty.
Hi. Can everyone hear me? Hello?
Yes.
Yes, we can
We
hear
can hear
you.
you loud and clear.
I can't see y'all, but I will start here with a band called Molchat Doma from Russia. When I first heard this band, I thought I was hearing some band some recording that someone found from like the late 70s in the USSR. It sounds very late 70s, early 80s, Soviet cold wave. Really, really cool though. Very dark and synthy. They use my favorite synthesizer on it. And next is, I don't know really how to say it, but it's, I believe it's Namandi. Let's see, isn't that a nice cover? This album covers pretty much all genres. There's hip hop, dance, rock, emo. There's like 90s Midwestern emo guitar riffs on it. He wrote, produced, recorded the entire album, and I think it was a masterpiece of 2020.
Awesome. Thank you, Tyler. Do you want to just do 2 at a time as well?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, what is the format here? Should I do a couple more, or should I?
Well, I mean, I know you're still at the store and you've worked all day. We've been doing 2 at a time, but if you would like to do more so that you can get on with your life, I totally understand.
Okay. I actually only have 2 more. If that's okay, I will just do those 2 and head home.
Please.
To get grocery shopping done.
Sweet. Let's do it. Let's hear it.
Okay, so I got Super Crush Soto Pop. Just came out a couple months ago. It is straightforward, alternative power pop, I would say. Very Teenage Fan Clubby. Lots of great backing vocals, beautiful guitar riffs, a lot of ear candy in there. Very nice to listen to. And my last one is Kate NV. Room for the Moon. It is very synthy, very weird, kind of loopy. It loops a lot of things, a lot of harmonies, a lot of pleasant noises that you wouldn't think go well together, but they end up coming together beautifully on Room for the Moon.
Nice. Well, thank you so much, Tyler, for joining us, and have fun at the grocery store.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Tyler.
Yeah, thanks, Greg. Thanks for letting me share.
And hey, I second that on the Molchat Doma. That was also on my list.
Yeah,
we have a little overlap here.
It definitely is a little bit of overlap. Did you think it was from 1979 or from 2020?
Well, it's like all their records. Yeah, it's you feel like you're in a time capsule and you went back. I was stunned when I heard that they were a new band.
Me too. I felt like I was in a time warp.
Yeah. But then, of course, when I heard them sing, I realized, ooh, this is, their English leaves a lot to be desired, I thought at first. But I realized, oh, it's Russian. So,
yes,
that was my fault. But I sure love them. And I love that record, too.
Mm-hmm. Perfect. Cool. Well, thanks, y'all.
Yeah, thank you.
Tyler.
Bye, Tyler.
Bye.
Okay. And we're back. All right, so now I'm going to swivel the computer over to Greg.
Hello again, everybody. That was great to hear from Matt and Ani and Tyler. And yeah, just what a variety so far. I'm really, really happy that everybody likes such different stuff. And you folks who are watching and listening, you've got this cornucopia to choose from. So my next record is, I only have a CD of it here. It's the James Hunter 6. It's called Nick of Time. And this is, 60s soul, basically. I mean, once again, kind of like the Molchat Doma, you can't believe that this is a record from 2020. It sounds letter perfect, like a sort of 60s soul record with some nice organ in there. There's a lot of space in all the songs. The record goes by in a flash. It's like 35 minutes long. He's a great singer. It took me just a little while. It wasn't extraordinary to me at first, but that's what happens to me with lots of records. The first 2 or 3 times, I'm just shaking hands with it. I don't know it very well. And then it reveals its secrets to me over time. And that's what happened with this record. Ian, who is not with us right now, and a shout out to Ian. I hope he's doing well. He also loved this record, and we would play it together in the store and just marvel at how they did this. What microphones did they use? Where was this produced? We just loved it. It also reminds me of an artist who put out one of my favorite records from last year, 2019. See how I got that year right? And that was Nick Waterhouse. And his record is self-titled. Nick Waterhouse is just tremendous. And I think this James Hunter 6 record sounds a bit like Nick Waterhouse's record from last year. And wouldn't you know, the name is Nick of Time. Is there a connection? I don't know. Maybe I'm just making it up. But anyway, this was one of my favorite records of this year. I highly recommend it to anyone. Now, another record that we're going to move on to here is one of the last records released this year. This is Sir Woman, or as Matt refers to it, Sir Woman. I don't know which way to emphasize it, Sir Woman or Sir Woman. But this is just an EP. But it's fantastic. And this is another record where you can't believe that it's from this year. It sounds like something that was released in the mid-70s. It's got that 70s soul vibe to it. Great songs. The song High Road is tremendous. And yeah, she's just a great singer. It could, I mean, when you first listen to it, you think, oh, is this Erykah Badu or someone like that? It just, I don't know who this person is or where they came from, but I just really have been enjoying this record. It only came out a couple weeks ago. It's, like I said, one of the last records released this year. I think it was December 17th. But I highly recommend it to anyone who likes 70s soul. And once again, goes by in a flash. It's just an EP. And I like records like that leave you wanting more. It's certainly better than boring you to tears like some records do. But we're not going to talk about those kinds of records. We're only talking about the aces tonight. And so far, that's what we've hit, I think. And I'm ready to stop talking for a while and hand it over to Ani, if you don't mind.
All right, great. Thanks, Greg. And
Mhm.
I am going to bring Ani up here and unmute and silence myself. Well,
Hope he's going to join me for this one. So she says hello. So yeah, I guess I'm gonna kind of scoot through one of these because it does. Greg and I do share Mr. Elevator, Goodbye, Blue Sky on our top 10. So I'm just gonna say, yeah, excellent album, and I do highly recommend it as well. Fiona Apple, Fetch the Bolt Cutters. Yeah, so good. I'm a big fan of hers and have been for a very long time. And it was a long-awaited album that was definitely worth waiting for. I think that it was a very inspirational album, and it was perfect, a perfect album in my opinion, and I love it a lot. And then I have Yves Tumor. Not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but they're a group that I just stumbled on, and the album that they came out with this year is called Heaven to a Tortured Mind. It is, I think, a really unique album. The music videos for that album, for each of the songs, are very strange, kind of satanic, really awesome. But the music is soft and soulful, and yeah, the vocals are also very soft but very compelling, and I really enjoyed that album as well. So that's what I've got for this moment. Thanks, Martha.
thank you. Thank you, Ani. Okay, so, there's Matt. Awesome. So let's bring Matt back and unmute. Welcome back, Matt.
Hi, Matt.
Hey, would it be okay if I run down my list? I'll be quick in doing so. But if I can get through them, then I can get on my bike and get home.
Of course, yes.
So this is a pair of albums because it's by the same band and it bookended the year. So in January, Drive-By Truckers released The Unraveling. It was an album that they'd actually recorded, I think, in 2018 or 2019. But it was, I mean, eerily prescient. For those that don't know, Drive-By Truckers are a Southern rock band. They explore a lot of themes in the South's history, but from liberal, progressive perspective. At least one of the members now lives in Portland. But anyways, I mean, the songs here were written in 2018 during the Trump presidency, and some of them include Thoughts and Prayers, 21st Century USA, Babies in Cages. So they're dealing with current political themes. And just the title of the album itself, The Unraveling, it came out in January, and then the pandemic hits, obviously, in March. And then George Floyd's killed in May, just to name a few events that felt like, you know, the whole year things are unraveling a bit. And they didn't decide to release this second album. It was like a surprise release. They decided maybe in September, and they put it out in December. And that's The New Okay. And this is mainly songs from the same recording session in 2018. I think only 2 of them were cut last year. The New Okay, the title track, and just The New Okay. I can't remember the other one, but Watching the Orange Clouds. Watching the Orange Clouds is something that Patterson Hood, the singer guitarist, wrote from like his, you know, vantage point in Portland after attending different demonstrations there. They do a Ramones cover to close it out. They have a hilarious take on Sarah Palin and a song called Sarah's Flame. What I said before, I don't really listen, or lyrics don't usually hit me immediately. Drive-By Truckers is someone who the lyrics I can't ignore, that they stand out. And if your politics are more conservative, you might enjoy it less. Next one is Kinematic. They are a post-rock band from Lebanon, instrumental post-rock. Not a whole lot I can say about it. It's one of those ones you just kind of have to listen to. They incorporate some electronic elements and some noise in there that I really enjoy. But yeah, I like it because I can't really point to other things that it sounds like. Negative Land put out The World Will Decide, which again is kind of a bookend album. They put out something in 2019 called False Positive, False Negative, something like that. False Positive. For those that don't know, Negative Land is a sound collage band. They take found audio and splice it, repeat it, reverse it, speed it up, and say very interesting things about the state of today without saying them at all. But you know, some of the tracks here, Unlawful Assembly, More Data, I Didn't Know I Was Dead, Attractive Target, Incomprehensible Solution. Again, a timely record that says a lot without saying anything quite directly. Next one's Sarok, Sharecropper's Daughter. I think it's on the Rhymesayers label. And just extremely intelligent, thought-provoking hip-hop with great beats. Some of it has a bit of like the Quasimodo vocals, which I like, but she's pretty fearless and pretty unapologetically her. So it's always refreshing to come into contact with that. This one, I don't even know how to pronounce the guy's name. Werner Daffeldecker, Parallel Darks. And the music and the cover art work perfectly. It is spooky, electroacoustic, static. I really like things that challenge the boundaries of or make you question, like, what is music, or where does it start, or where does it end? And this is certainly something that it's not melodic. I mean, most people wouldn't put it on to, you know, have friends over, but if you put it on and you close your eyes, it can take you to somewhere different, and I appreciate that about it. And then the final thing I want to talk about tonight is clippings, visions of bodies being burned. It's again just a no punches pulled capture of, again, state of events today. One of the things I like the best about clipping, and I think that his name, I haven't like ever really looked him up or looked too deeply into him, but I'm guessing that his name refers to, you know, the sound that happens when audio exceeds the maximum dynamic range for an output device. So you can get that clipping sound if it's too bassy or too high. And clipping incorporates noise elements into his backdrop for his emceeing, and I love that. I like noise. So that is all the records I wanted to talk about.
You're awesome. Thank you so much, Matt. And we hope you have a safe bike ride home. And I really appreciate your selections.
Thanks.
They're so interesting.
Yeah, thanks. If I'm fast enough, I might make it to Ani's before the hour's up, but I don't think I will.
All right.
All
well,
right,
take
Matt.
care.
Yeah, you take care.
Thanks a lot for joining us.
Bye.
Bye. Okay. So, oops, let's do this. So right now, Ian is unable to be here this evening with us. So we do have his top 10, I guess, yes. And Greg is going to take it from here
Sure,
and talk
why
about a
not?
few of them.
I mean,
why
yeah,
not?
Yeah, since Ian's not here, I'm sure I'm a fine proxy for him. I don't think he's going to mind too much if I just read a few of the titles from his list. He has at number 1 the Aquabats, Kooky Spooky. The Aquabats are an old ska band. I don't know how long they've been doing it, probably since the 80s. And he loves them, and he loves him some ska. There is a Less Than Jake record on this also. Silver Linings. Less Than Jake has been around forever too. How old are those guys? 50? Who knows? Anyway, they're a punk / ska band, and Ian loves them. A record that Ani mentioned, The Chats, High Risk Behavior. Ian played that a lot in the store, and he loved it. So give him a shout out for that. Run the Jewels 4. Brutal. One of just a pummeling. I mean, really one of the best records of the year, I think. It wasn't in my favorites, but that doesn't mean it's not a great record. And I got to hear it quite a few times, and those guys are doing stuff that nobody else is doing. I mean, they're just out front with it. Their politics are, very left, and the beats are great. It's a compelling album all the way through. I highly recommend that Run the Jewels 4. I think it's one of the best hip hop records of the year. And Ian was right to put it at his number 4. And it's Run the Jewels 4. So I like the numerology there. The Idols, Ultramono, modern punk rock. The Idols are great. I don't love them as much as Ian, but hey, that's, everybody each to his own, right? The OCs, Protein Threat. I mentioned the OCs earlier when I was talking about Mr. Elevator. The band is way different than Mr. Elevator. They are just stinging punk rock. I mean, these guys can play fast and furious. They get a little proggy sometimes, long guitar solos, and they can do it. They play well enough to do that kind of thing. So they're punk rock, but they're also good musicians, which is a little rare. That's like 6 or 7 of the records. Anything else I should mention? He also played the Fontaines DC quite a bit, and I grew to like that record. It didn't make much of an impression on me at first, but I like it. The Fontaines DC, they run the gamut. It's a little Smithsy at first. I hope that's a good adjective. But then they get into some punk rock too, and they do it real well. I think they're from DC, so they have that DC lineage of Minor Threat and those kinds of bands. It's a good record. I recommend it. And I think that's good enough for Ian's list. I'm sure he'll appreciate that I tried as best I could. Shout out to Ian, and when you see him in the House of Records, ask him about those records. I'm sure he can tell you a lot more about them than I can. But yeah, we'll take it over to Ani again.
Awesome. Thanks a lot, Greg.
Mhm.
And Ani, back to you.
All right. Well, yeah. Some of the next several that I have on my list are artists that I just learned about this year, so I'm not entirely familiar with them outside of these albums, but I went on a search for, I couldn't even remember what had come out this year, so I went on a search, what did come out this year, and these are some of the things, some of the artists that came up, and I was blown away by what I had heard when searching for that. So one of these artists is Moses Sumney, and the album is Gray. And Moses Sumney is from the U.S. Really also very soulful music, and don't have a whole lot more to add to that at the moment, but I do recommend the album Gray from him. Number 7 that I have on my list is Grimes. So this artist I am familiar with outside of this album that they released this year, which is called Miss Anthropocene. I have now liked I like everything that they put out. I really do. This album in particular is very spacey. It's like a futuristic fantasy music. It's like if you were to play some sort of like D&D but sci-fi game, this might be the music that you would listen to while playing that. So it's kind of weird and out there, but it's a little romantic as well. So it's strange. Grimes is pretty strange, and I like them a lot. So yeah, a new artist that I learned about, Perfume Genius. And I'm just gonna, since I don't have a whole lot to say about the rest of these, I'm just gonna run through the rest of my list. So Perfume Genius, their album Set My Heart on Fire Immediately. This is a really raw album. I'd say it's kind of similar to Yves Tumor that I mentioned earlier, in the way that that too is like very soulful, and but whereas Yves Tumor is more soft and elegant about its rawness. Perfume Genius is a little bit grimier, and it just hits real hard. I feel like this is the kind of, yes, that's the album cover. I feel like listening it could make you cry some really great tears. Like, just if you need a good cry, this is it. Yeah, really great album. Yeah, beautiful voice, and beautiful piano in some of those songs. It's really, really lovely. Next I have Rock Maraschino. The album is called Mount Marcy, and this is some hip hop, really very chill, but also really heavy. And I don't know how to explain that, how both of those fit so well, but it does. It's just, yeah, some really heavy hip hop. One of the songs is called Koronikov, so it's definitely a relevant album of the year. And yeah, it's really good. And then lastly, I have Tayana Taylor, and the album is called The Album. So, wow, she is a dynamite woman. I just discovered her. The intro song of the album starts off with like a recording of somebody calling the paramedics because she's giving birth, and from what I read, that's like the actual recording of her partner calling for paramedics because she was in labor. And I thought that was an incredible thing to include in the album. It's powerful. Her voice is really, she's just a really strong woman, very sexy, very commanding, and yeah, it's a really good, I think a really great feel-good album. So that's my list.
Nice. Thank you so much, Ani.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Hey, I'm a fan of that Rock Marciano record too.
Isn't it great?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so Greg, back to your list. I think you have a few more albums to talk about. Ani, are you going to stick around with us, or are you?
Oh, absolutely.
Right on.
Opie and I are hanging out. Yeah.
Nice. All right. Well, I'm going to leave you right there then. Is that cool?
Yeah, totally.
Terrific. All right, Greg, you're up.
Okay. So I have just a few more. I may not talk about all of them. This is going to be hard to see. It's All Them Witches. This record came out right around the middle of the year. I think it was June or July. And it's just grungy hard rock, ranging on metal. Great musicianship. They can do long jams and they can write good songs. It's not always hard rock or metal, but most of it is. It has a nice flow, the whole album. The singing is good. Reminds me just a little bit of Alice in Chains, who are sort of the band of the moment right now. People love Alice in Chains right now. So if you like Alice in Chains, viewer or listener or library patron or whoever you might be who's watching this, I would check out All of Them Witches. Give them a try. And it just, yeah, it's a record you can listen to front to back. It's got great songs too, but it is nice to hear it in its entirety. And that is a nice segue into my next record, which I love. This is really one of my favorites. It's by a band called Actress. And the name of this record is Karma and Desire. And it is, well, we stock it in our techno section. So I guess I'm going to call it techno. But it's really a journey. It's a double album. And it ebbs and flows. It has these beautiful piano interludes where, you know, there's a really nice echo delay on the piano. There's some really nice singing, mainly by a female artist who I don't know. I don't know if she's part of the band or not. I haven't done a lot of research on Actress, the band, but I do know that I really love this record. And it's one of the few records that I actually bought this year and took home. Oh, well, no, you gave it to me.
I did.
Yeah. So anyway, it's a record that I have around in my house that I listen to also. And it can be very meditative too. That's kind of a theme with my records. I didn't want them to all be records that sound alike, but you know how it is. You have a certain style that you like and bands fit into it, and that's what you end up with. So that's my next one. Since we have no one left, I guess I'll
Go
finish
for it.
out with this is Nicholas Godin. He is a member of the group Air, which I did not know all year. I listened to this record. It came out in February or March, and it was an immediate favorite of mine. It sounds a little like Air, but it's a lot more like soul from the 70s. There's also a female vocalist on this record, whom I don't know who it is. And like I say, I didn't even know Nicholas Godin was from Air. And Moon Safari is one of my all-time favorite records. But I dropped the ball on this. I didn't even know who I was listening to, and it turned out it was a guy from Air. Anyway, the name of this record is Concrete and Glass. And yeah, it's just real atmospheric, good songs, some instrumentals, some vocals. I highly recommend it. Check it out. And that's probably all I need to talk about.
You don't want to talk about Quantic?
Quantic, I'm up and down with it. Just because I like something doesn't mean it's good. And I just want to say that out front. And so there's some definite jive on this Quantic record. Here, let me show it to you. Apricot Morning is the name of this record. I listen to this a lot at work while I'm working, up and down, out of the office, back in my chair, and I'll be listening to it. And it's really great background music. But when I focus on it, I have discovered that maybe I shouldn't have put it in my top 10. I'm just going to say that. I'm just going to admit it. But I do like it. And I like just having it on. But when I pay too close attention to it, I start picking it apart. And you know how that goes. It's a slippery slope. So, but I'm not just going to recommend this to anybody. I would recommend it to people who like jive, like me. That's all I'm going to say the rest of about Quantic. I hope no members of Quantic or Quantic's mom or whoever isn't listening to this. And then one other record I want to talk about is the Dukes of Chutney. This is a really neat record, sort of dreamy pop, with a female singer who reminded Martha of the woman who sang in the Sundays way back in the late 80s and 90s. They also utilize vibraphone to just a wonderful effect. For some people, this record may be a little sleepy, but for me, oh God, it was just great. Really enjoyed this record. It's a double LP, but it goes by fast. I highly recommend it. The Dukes of Chutney, Hazel is the name of the record. And I've exhausted my list here and Ian's list and probably all the listeners right now.
No, I'm sure you haven't. Can we both fit in there?
I
Yes,
think
we can.
Yes.
God, thank you guys so much.
Oh,
and thank
sure.
you, Matt
Thank
and
you.
Tyler.
And
You've already
Ani.
gone. Yeah, Ani, you're amazing. Just coming out this evening. We still have 10 minutes to go. But I do want to say that I am on board with you, Ani, with Perfume Genius. This album is great. It is tender and beautiful. I love harpsichord in modern pop music. I'm a huge fan of harpsichord in general. So yeah, that's a great recommendation. Great album from 2020. I'm also on board with you, Greg, with Mr. Elevator, and you as well, Ani. That album is great. It's intense and also soothing, if that's even possible. I mean, it starts out with some intensity, and then just it gets ambient and atmospheric. It's beautiful. So I'm right there with you guys on that. Let's see. Oh, and I'm on board with Ian and RTJ4, Run the Jewels. This album is great. It is intense. It is frightening. And it is perfect for our troubled times.
Not for the faint of heart.
Not at all. I mean, look at the gatefold here.
I honestly think that this could have been on everybody's list, but we didn't want to. I don't know. We didn't want to have too much overlapping, right?
Right.
So,
well, it's on Tyler's.
Yeah.
And we don't want to steal Ian's thunder.
Right.
So out of curiosity, what would both of you who are left here, what would you choose as a soundtrack for 2020? It doesn't have to be something in your top 10 or whatever. But I'm just curious, what album would you choose from 2020 that really speaks to the tumult of that year?
I mean, what's coming to mind first and foremost is the Chats, high risk behavior. I mean, it's just it's so chaotic and it's really loud and in your face. So I feel like that was the year. It was high risk behavior here and there, and I think that for me that's probably what I would choose if there was an album that represented the year. It'd be like the chaos of this. Yeah.
Nice. What about you, Greg?
I mean, I hate to just beat a dead horse here, but that Run the Jewels record is very apropos, especially after the George Floyd protests and the Black Lives Matter protests and how important that was this year. But they get real political as well. And so just the in-your-face nature of Run the Jewels in general, but this record in particular, they really lay it out. And I would say 2020 was a year of reckoning where we had to come face to face with, this all didn't happen out of nowhere. It's been coming for a while, and now we're finally facing it. And I think that that's good. We need to face things and deal with them. And I think that music is a great way to do that. It's also an escape, yes. And I highly recommend that people use music as an escape, but it can also be a great way to settle your reckoning with things, and it becomes a catharsis. I would say the Run the Jewels record is a great catharsis, just like Ani's record, The Chats. You know, the ability to get inside your body like that and make you move is pretty valuable, and the fact that music can do that is why we do this, why we work in the music industry, because we're trafficking in things that are very valuable and that mean a lot to people, and I hope that people will take away from this conversation and these recommendations, that they'll take away the idea that the people at the House of Records care a lot about music, and that when you come and ask us something about recommendations, that we're trying to fit it to what you want, not just what we like. And so, yeah, thank you for listening to us and our recommendations, because who are we? Just because we work in a record store doesn't mean we have good taste, or that the things we like are good. You can't help it. You like what you like, but when you get to know customers and people come in and they ask you questions, and you start to develop a relationship with them and know what they like, then you can make recommendations with something behind them. So that's all I have to say.
All right, great. Well, thank you so much. Thanks again, everybody, for tuning in. I hope you all have a great evening. Here we are in 2021.
Thank you, Martha. Thank you, Martha, for yeah.
Thank you, Ani.
All right, I guess that's it. I'm going to click end broadcast, and we're going to disappear into the ether. Good night.
Bye, Ani.
Bye, Greg. See you Sunday.
All right.
Okay, I think I did it.